welcome to Explore English Churches, and today I thought I'd do something a little bit different, and I brought you to a site of an execution. Don't worry, there is a church involved also, but it's the execution of Mary Queen of Scots on the 8th of February in 1587, and we're going to have a look around. I shall try to get over to where there used to be a castle where Mary Queen of Scots was actually executed, and then what we're going to do, we're going to have a look around because we are in the village of Fotheringhay in Northamptonshire, and then we're going to have a look around St Mary's and All Saints Church in Fotheringhay. This is to give you some idea of the location that we're at today. And there is this beautiful church here in Fotheringhay in Northamptonshire in England. And this, I forgot what river this is. I think it's the River Nene, spelt N-E-N-E. And over there, where you see that mound, that is where the castle used to sit, I believe. And that is where Mary Queen of Scots was executed. This is the site of the old castle of Fotheringhay. And Richard III was actually born in Fotheringhay in 1452. He lost his head in the Battle of Bosworth Field, and Fotheringhay went into decline. Henry VIII gave the castle to his queen, Catherine of Aragon, who spent large sums of money on it. After their divorce, it passed to each of his wives in succession. This is what the castle looked like in its heyday. Quite amazing. And it sits right alongside the River Nene. So we're going to take a wander up and see if we can find the spot where Mary Queen of Scots was actually executed. And here we have a nice plaque which reads, "In memory of Mary Stuart, Queen of Scots, who was beheaded in the Great Hall of Fotheringhay Castle on the 8th of February 1586/6. How beautiful does that church look in the background? Absolutely fantastic. What we're going to do, I'm actually going to climb up this mound. It's a bit slippy. Here we are on the top of the mound of where the castle used to sit, with the church in the background and the River Nene down below. And here we have the remains of what would be the castle keep that would have been filled with water. And there's still some water in it, I believe, today. That's what would have been protecting the castle itself. If I go over to this side, I think you'll be able to see. Yes, there's still water sitting in that to this day. is a beautiful, beautiful day here today. Absolutely stunning. You would have thought that Fotheringhay would have been a rather insignificant village, but it did play an extremely important role in the history of England. Also, we have another one here. While Richard was born in Fotheringhay Castle, Mary Queen of Scots met her death there, in the Great Hall, as we've seen. And here we have some history of Richard III. 1483, he was born actually in Fotheringhay. And this is Edward IV, 1461, 4th Duke of York. He was also born in Fotheringhay. And Richard of York, 3rd Duke of York. Edward Langley. Now, I've never heard of this fellow, but apparently he was the 2nd Duke of York. And he laid claim to the throne of France. And then we have Edmund Langley. And here's some history of the building of the castle. Waltheof and Countess Judith of Blens had 3 daughters. Just speaking to Bill, the church warden, and what he explained to me was that this church would have all been painted white originally, and plus also the tower, as you see it up there, and I'll try and pan in a bit, that would have all been glass up the top there, all the way round. Again, you never know what you're going to find. And these wonderful churches that sit in these small villages in England, and the history that they actually cover, it's just astounding. It truly is astounding. Let's take a wander around the outside of the church before we go in. It has some enormous windows. And when also, I understand from Bill, the church warden, that there's some most amazing monuments inside. Now, this church used to be much larger. It was basically twice the size it is now, because it was a collegiate church. Look at this, how beautiful is that? And if you can imagine, that tower would have all been covered in glass originally. All those would have been glass windows up there. Let's take a wander in and see what we find. And the first thing we notice as we walk in is actually this lion. I don't know anything about him yet. If I find out anything, I'll put it on in comments down below. A wonderful door here. And this is where we are today. And sure enough, this church does not disappoint. Oh my goodness. Look at that. Let's see if we can take a closer look. How beautiful is that? I also notice on the wall here we have this wall painting. I can't tell you what it is. Let's try and zoom in a little bit closer. That's quite amazing. Oops, sorry about that. But look at that ceiling. How stunning is this church? It is beautiful. It truly is. And as we walk up here towards the altar, I know that we have two large monuments. Here we have this wonderful monument to Edward, Duke of York, who was killed on the battlefield of Agincourt in the year 1415. And this monument was erected in 1575. What I do understand is that the bones were actually in the graveyard, and as I understand, it was Elizabeth I who found out about that and actually had them brought into the church. We have many shields in the church, obviously, and this is a view back from the altar. Oops. And this is a view back from behind the altar. And on the other side of the altar, we have another monument to Richard the Plantagenet, Duke of York, nephew to the Edward, the Duke of York. Here we have a stained glass window with all the various different shields in. It's the York window. Now the pulpit here, I understand, is totally original, and we're going to go and have a look at it because it's highly painted. Look at that, with its hood. And I understand that dates back to about 1467. It truly is beautiful. We have the royal coat of arms up there. I've never seen a lid like this, or a font. Look at this little chap here. It's quite cool. The church is exceptionally well looked after.